I'm Heather.
And I'm Desiree.
And you're listening to
the Perpetually Overdue Podcast. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Perpetually Overdue Podcast. I'm Desiree.
And I'm Heather.
And this week, we're going to talk about something that may trigger some people.
Lots of people.
Yeah. So get ready, because we're excited to talk about this. This week, we're going to talk about how we stopped being Swifties before Life of a Showgirl came out. There is so much we want to unpack here, and honestly, we're barely going to really touch everything we could possibly talk about when it comes to this.
I will say, I know that this topic has been talked about ad nauseum online, and
especially on TikTok.
Yes, and on YouTube. You probably don't necessarily need another person's take on this, but being two women of color, because we are both Hispanic, both Puerto Rican, I think we do have somewhat of a unique perspective on a lot of the things that were criticized about the Life of a Showgirl and how it affects us personally, because I think it affects us in a different way, and women of color in general in a different way than it affects the majority of the fan base, which is white women. So
now the interesting thing is a lot of now claiming ex-Swifties are people who were devout fans for over a decade. And so we too have been fans of her music for many, many years. And our trickling down away from her happened before the newest album came out, honestly. So we're going to touch base about where the fall started for us. And then ultimately, I think Life of a Showgirl ended up being the catalyst to just confirm what we had already been stepping into in regards to stepping away from Taylor Swift as a brand and music. Perhaps let's touch base on that first. Okay. What is your history with Taylor Swift and her music?
So the first full album that I heard of hers, granted, I say full because her first album, which I can't even remember the name of it right now, her debut album, it was very country.
Yes.
And I am not typically a country listener.
Same.
I'm not a fan. The closest I get to it is like country pop or folk
Lady
music.
Antebellum, more modern Lady Antebellum was probably...
I mean, mine is an even older reference. Shania Twain.
Oh, well, see, 90s. Shania
Faith
Twain,
Hill,
Dixie Chick, Faith Hill.
Dixie Chicks.
Different era.
So, yeah, I lean more towards like folky music. Might have a banjo in there, but that's as a country as it gets for me. I listened to a couple of songs off of that album. Picture to Burn was one of them. And I was like, oh, this is super catchy. She's very young. She was around our age. So it was different because a lot of the country stars that we had listened to when we were younger were much older than us. So when her Fearless album came out, that for me was the moment that I became a fan of hers. And what I loved about her albums is that every single song was a bop. Every single song was good. Every single song felt relatable. And most of her albums from that point on felt like that. There were maybe like one or two songs that I was like, I was the type of Taylor Swift fan that liked that her music was very relatable. She was able to take everyday situations like having a crush, falling in love, feeling insecure, feeling all these different types of emotions and putting them in a poetic way that still felt very simple and down to earth.
Yeah.
Is she the best songwriter in the entire world? No. And she's not the most complex songwriter in the world. I think that she got that title around the Folklore Evermore era. And we'll get into that because that might not have necessarily been her. There were a couple of different writers on those albums, including her ex-boyfriend. So there's a lot of speculation about that. But I think that she kind of got this notoriety as being a profound lyricist.
Which we'll talk about that because I have some really good takes and quotes about that specifically.
But I liked the fact that she was able to take emotions and put them in a very simplistic way and make them sound glittery and sparkling. And that was kind of her niche. And I liked that about her because it put into words some of the things that I had felt throughout my adolescence. And I was like, ooh, that's such a good way of putting it. Now, she did have a couple songs that addressed, let's say, Kanye West, or she would talk about an old Hollywood starlet and talk about their life. Those songs I was less interested in because I wasn't able to really relate to them. I like when Taylor would talk about her own experiences as opposed to other people's lives. Which is probably why around the Lover phase is when I started to kind of, I hate to say this, but kind of grow out of her a little bit. I loved Reputation because she had curated this persona of being like the sweet girl next door. Now, whether that's true or not, probably not actually at this point. So when Reputation came out, we had seen her be sort of like a victim in certain scenarios. Scooter Braun and her masters, Katy Perry and stealing her dancers, or some bullshit like that. And so this was the album where she was like, I ain't taking nobody else's shit. And so it was the more adult version of her, the more sassy version of her, sticking up for herself.
A little more steamy because she did songs like Dress, talking about taking and we hadn't seen that level. That song. It was one of my favorites. But we hadn't seen that grown-up version of Taylor, like the adult, open to her own sexuality and relationship. And that was new too. And we were eating it up because it was well done.
She had some of that on 1989 as well, where she was kind of giving little glimpses into the fact that she is a sexual person, but still keeping it rather PG, because a lot of, especially when it comes to white women, there's like this weird infantilization of white women that is like this double-edged sword, because they're not allowed to be sexual creatures, and when they are, whores. And if they maintain the status quo of allowing themselves to be infantilized, then the other side of it is that, oh, but she just didn't know any better, but she's just a widow girl. Which is, but that same courtesy is not given to Black women. It's not given to Hispanic. It's not given to literally any other women except for maybe East Asian women. I have heard that about them as well. The sort of infantilization. But I think that more comes from this false mentality that East Asian women are just really submissive and meek and docile and stuff. So that's when I kind of started to fall out of love with her. And then even though Folklore and Evermore were like her most critically acclaimed albums, I had pretty much stopped listening at that point. It wasn't until Midnights that I started listening in again. And on first take, I didn't like it. It wasn't until I listened to it a second time. But you know, those earworms. She knows how to make songs that are earworms. Because even on Life of a Showgirl, I could talk endlessly about how terrible that album is, but that song Ophelia is catchy. And if you're not careful, you can hear yourself, you know, like, and you're like, no, God, no. So that's kind of my journey with her. And I know that you have a similar journey in the sense of like when you started listening to her as well.
Yeah, so same thing. The first I had ever heard of her was when she released Debut, and I heard the Our Song. And I remember being cringed out, going, because they had made her up to be such a Barbie, because that was what they were trying to push, the typical country girl narrative of blonde Barbie country chick. And so she had that image, and I was like, and then she really was hitting the twang. So at that time,
that was actually so good.
Since I wasn't typically a fan of country either, it didn't do anything for me. So then fast forward like a year later, suddenly Fearless comes out, and it's like a completely different person because she really took control. She was business smart enough to realize, okay, like she shifted a little more pop, still country, but a little more pop, got experimental with some rock in it as well. She still was very much like the frilly dress, the, Fearless dress, the blonde curls, but she definitely tried to pull away from what they were trying to make her. And suddenly I was like, oh.
The big hair, the heavy makeup, that kind of,
And so she really kind of decided to take her image and make it her own. And it caught my attention, and I adored that album. That album forever is one of my tops from her, because there's so much nostalgia. There's so much that I adored and related to, and it was great. So then same went on the journey with her. The whole drama of Kanye happened. I wasn't paying too much attention, so I didn't know what to believe. I was weirded out by the whole situation. So, like a lot of Swifties at the time who didn't go against her, but just kind of took a step back to be like, I'm just going to see what happens, kind of a deal.
Okay, yeah.
And so here comes Reputation after she was missing for over a year, and it was badass. It was production-wise chef's kiss, and I absolutely adored it. And then same thing. Lover happened, unfortunately for her, right as the pandemic was about to go and change our lives. And so I was curious about Lover, but for whatever reason, it didn't grab my attention. The pandemic happened, our lives changed, and that was kind of like the last thing on my mind. Folklore came out. Like you, we had already been inundated in the indie music scene from our religion background.
Ooh, yes. I forgot about that.
So I think as much as I typically loved folk music and like it just, I think at the time I was also deconstructing Christianity, and
that's true.
I didn't really like it. Just I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Not your cup of tea.
It wasn't at the time. It took many years. I think only 2 years ago that I finally listened, and I was like, oh, this is good. But I was already how many years late?
Yeah. I think lyrically, those were her strongest ones.
And
as
vocally,
evolution.
When you listen to the Long Pond series of her like doing it live in that studio, just with her and Jack and Aaron, like it was stunning, the things she did with her voice and the simplicity of it.
You know, she had one of the guys from the National,
Aaron,
helped write that album. She actually did a song with him, a duet, one of my favorites, on a previous album. And her voice sounded really good on that song. And I think it's a genre thing, right? So we've heard Taylor struggle vocally.
Yes.
She's not the strongest singer has the biggest range as compared to like a Sabrina Carpenter
or Adele or, you know.
Yeah. So I think finding the genre where your voice is most comfortable can really, really, really help. Not to mention all the years of singing at that point that she had under her belt.
And for sure, she was getting vocal training because of the slander of her voice. You could see, especially in the Eras tour and the Reputation tour, vocally, the notes she was hitting clean and strong. That girl was working her ass with vocal coaches because she had something to prove for sure. So I would say again, same thing, kind of fell off after Lover. And it wasn't until Midnights that also took me a few listens before I became obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And then after that, when Tortured Poets Department came out, I wasn't interested at all. I mean, there were some songs that I could recognize were fun, like Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, and I Can Do It With a Broken Heart.
Yeah.
But at the end,
majority of it
it didn't do anything for me at all.
First of all, can I just speak for every person who was waiting to hear this breakup album? The fact that majority of the songs were about Matt Healy, who she dated for all of 2 seconds, was so disappointed when we wanted to know the fucking tea. Let's be honest. That is one of the reasons Taylor got popular in the first place, is that she spilled the fucking tea on the relationships
been her
that
whole
she
career.
was in.
It's her whole career.
And she caught a lot of flack for that. I don't have an issue with it because I'm like, all musicians do that.
Yes.
They may not necessarily name names, and technically neither did she, except for that Dear Sean.
Yeah.
That was kind of obvious. But other than that, she didn't do that either. But she would include a lot of Easter eggs to help people kind of figure out who the songs were about. So in that regard, I feel like she was a little bit more bold than your average singer songwriter who writes about their relationships. But the fact that happens at all, like, who gives a shit? The issue that I had is I was like, you were in a 6-year relationship and you wrote 2 songs on this.
You have nothing to tell us about
deluxe album. I was so pissed because I didn't give a shit about what happened between her and Matt Healy.
No, if anything, it gave me the ick that she was so heartbroken over that and obsessed. I was just like, really?
Yeah.
And the thing was, now hindsight, it's wild how we had no details, but automatically we all made Joe the villain without knowing anything.
Because that's what Taylor Swift's fans have always done.
We knew nothing, and he became the villain.
And it's because she's always the victim.
Yeah.
If you've noticed in her music, aside from Back to December, where she took responsibility, and that's the relationship with Taylor Lautner, where she was like, he was good, he was great to me, I was the problem kind of thing. She has always painted it, and that's okay, because it's from your perspective, right?
That's her experience, yeah.
But I do find it really telling that this is the first time that we haven't really heard.
She had nothing to say bad about him, technically.
And yet everybody was like, because of the whole like, oh, he didn't want to, because of a couple lines of the songs of like, I wouldn't want to marry me too, talking about how she's like an endless people pleaser.
Yeah, but we don't know at the end of the day the two sides of this story. Exactly. And she clearly didn't have loads of bad things to say, so it makes you wonder now, again, as her reign is falling for many, not all, but for many it is. It's looking back and going, we just assumed so much about this poor man, and for all we know, she was the problem in the relationship, and she's the reason he knew he couldn't commit and pulled away.
And because a lot of people are even saying, Taylor obviously has a habit of molding herself to her relationships and the men that she dates.
We are seeing that, yep.
And that actually, I feel like, has even gotten worse as she's gotten older, which is kind of weird and unnerving. But during her Joe Alwyn era, so we should be referring to her eras based on the men she's dating.
But it is a big part of how even the eras of her albums become. So
it's true. So during that era was Folklore and Evermore, and Lover too. But Folklore and Evermore, he has writing credits on. People are also saying that the Miss Americana documentary, where she talked about getting political, even though she clearly had Republican parents, at least her father, who didn't want her to speak out about politics. And everybody kept saying that was Joe's influence. Now we
see that, yes.
The music was Joe's influence. Her political vocalizations were Joe's influence. And now that she's not with him anymore, we're seeing completely different side of
complacency and silence.
Yeah, pretty much.
After, again, we'll get into that. So that's more or less our history. We have been fans for literally over a decade of her music. I don't know that I ever considered myself a full Swiftie, because as much as I did know about her life and Easter eggs and stuff, I wasn't obsessively like, I had to know it all. I went seasons not giving a shit or knowing anything, and I was okay with that and just focused on the music, honestly.
I'm never going to be a super fan of literally anyone. I don't know you. I'm not trying to have a parasocial relationship with you. I can like you. I can make comments here and there, but really at the end of the day, my comments are in passing. You're not taking up all of my time and my brain capacity the way that Swifties obsess over Taylor and every little, and to the point where I'm like, okay, you all are stretching so hard. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I think her genius that everyone says is actually something that was manufactured by her fans, because they look so deep into everything and gave her all the credit for it. But I'm like, how do you even know that that's what she meant? How do you know? Now, I do think that there have been ones that she has done that are pretty obvious, but the minute details of the things that people say about her lyrics, about this background prop in a music video, and I'm like, you guys are making her sound like a criminal mastermind here.
Well, her song literally called herself that.
I know. But I just don't think that she is actually doing everything that everybody thinks that she's doing, in other words.
So now fast forward, we have already kind of lost steam when it comes to Taylor. We had already, personally, I'll speak for myself, she was already in this relationship. And before November, there were things that I questioned, just really being chummy with Brittany Mahone, while I know people were literally losing relationships with family members because they were clearly setting lines in the sand because of how harmful and hateful the rhetoric of anyone who was complacent or supportive of the right had become. Yeah. And she was not making those decisions. And people are like, well, you don't know, she endorsed Kamala, blah, blah. Actions speak louder than words. And at the end of the day, she was constantly being seen and photographing happily with right-winged influencers.
Right.
I was getting a little frustrated and trying to figure out what's going on, because at this point, we felt a shift in the country that hadn't even full-blown happened yet until January, really. And at this point, for me, it was a matter of going, where am I going to keep putting my money? And really needing to start making decisions for me. So now it's months after, into 2025. Our lives are very vastly different since the election of November 2024. And here comes Life of a Showgirl, where everyone's been waiting, because everyone also who defended her was like, just wait till she puts something out. She'll say all the things that you keep saying that she needs to say. She'll end up doing it in this fun, clever way, and you're going to eat your words and blah, 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 blah. Well, we were waiting, and what we got was what she considers and claims is her best work, is what she's always wanted to make and write.
Yeah.
And it was this.
I will say, before we get into Life of a Showgirl, I do want to say that my issues with Taylor Swift as a person, not as a singer-songwriter, began before Life of a Showgirl.
Same.
I think her becoming a billionaire was very questionable. You have Billie Eilish over here calling out millionaires and billionaires and saying that billionaires should not exist. Not when the world is in the condition that it is, not when people are struggling to feed their families. And it wasn't until this album that I really got to see that she loves being a billionaire and she wants to stay being a billionaire. So it's not even just that she's not giving enough of her wealth away, which I get she's earned to a degree. Mind you, she has an entire machine behind her. And the fact that she has been everywhere since her debut was not a coincidence. There are people that the industry pushes in your face. She's one of them. And we were happy to receive her because we liked her music. The fact that she had 2 jets go from here, there, and everywhere. And I get she's uber famous.
Yeah, I get the practicality and even safety aspects of it.
Yeah.
I get it.
But it wasn't until there was a guy who was tracking her flight patterns. Mind you, I don't agree with tracking flight patterns as they're happening. After the fact, it's whatever. But what pissed her off is, of course, more the fact that she was being called out for the massive pollution that her private jets were doing. And in a response to that, she tried to sue that guy, which isn't a good look. And then she sold one of her jets. I don't know why she needed to in the first place. Then there was the fact that, and this is something that I didn't realize until like right before the Life of a Showgirl era, which is that a lot of white nationalist Aryan groups, they look at her as being an ideal. And they have used her persona and her music even trying to say that she's putting in dog whistles, which before Life of a Showgirl really wasn't something that people were saying. After Life of a Showgirl, now people are like, is she a white supremacist or is she supporting this ideology? The thing that I found really bothersome about that is that a woman of color wrote an article about how all of these white supremacist groups were using her as an ideal and pushing her as like Aryan Barbie, essentially. They just wrote about that. She never said anything about how Taylor Swift endorses it, promotes it, accepts it, but she also doesn't acknowledge it, like many things. And Taylor Swift sued her. Not the white supremacy groups that are trying to say that she's some Aryan princess that they're putting up on a pedestal and that she's truly, underneath it all, a white supremacist herself. Not them. The person who wrote about it to silence her, to shut her up. But didn't say anything. Didn't say, I don't condone this. I don't support this. This is not my ideology. Just.
Which, on the podcast, she said that if she has something to say, she'll say it when she wants to say it. So she is fully aware of shit and chooses not to speak on things on purpose. Not for any infantilizing reasons that every Swiftie keeps putting on her. Like suddenly she's not capable of autonomy and thought, but then you call her a mastermind. Which is it? Can't be both.
Right.
So the things she chooses not to speak on is purposeful. She said it herself. That example right there is one of many. Like the White House using her song twice recently, and it's been now over 2 weeks. Nothing.
But when they used Olivia Rodrigo's song,
in an instant, she publicly made a statement, because then there's those like, it's not that easy to just sue people, blah, blah, blah. All it takes is 2 seconds to say something publicly, just a headline that you send out in whatever way, if you give a shit, because that's the key.
Sorry, but Taylor Swift sues people left and right. What are you talking about?
Again, the mind pretzels the Swiftie cult make in her defense fiercely. It's been wild and a revelation recently.
It has. Yeah. So, life of a showgirl.
So, in addition to us already taking a step back, because again, for me at this time, Life of a Showgirl came out, what, like a month or two ago? We are in freaking late November. Yeah. I was already severely turned off by her silence and her clear, not just lack of action, but the action she did choose to allow to be put out there publicly.
Yeah.
No problem. No saying anything otherwise about it. Clearly knowing what people were saying and our confusion and frustration, she didn't give a shit to bring light to our concerns. Nope. When, again, she could have, because she has said when she feels it's important to say something, she will. Clearly, this wasn't important to set straight. And so I was already making a decision, because here's the thing. As soon as you say that you don't want to put money into Taylor Swift brand, they're like, oh, but I bet you have this and I bet you use that. We have to pick and choose our battles right now. And at the end of the day, maybe not all of us can afford to literally give up everything and live in a hole to make a political point. But where we can pick our battles, personally, we're going to do them. And that's what a lot of people have been doing. She's one of the battles I have chosen to pick, where I'm going, I don't want to put money into this brand that I put thousands of dollars in over 10 years. And I don't want to do it anymore, because I don't believe this person is on the right side of history anymore. Ever was, I don't know. But at least at this moment is not. And I don't support that, as well as many other celebrities and companies. Because again, it's like, you're attacking Taylor because she's Taylor and she's a woman. Where about everyone else? I'm doing it with everyone else too. Trust me.
It's called accountability.
Simple. So anyways, I know, and from our conversations, we've been already in that mindset. We took a step back already. So Life of a Showgirl comes out, and suddenly everything that I was still percolating inside felt confirmed, because who I thought this woman was not who I thought this woman was.
On so many levels.
So here's are some points about my thoughts on Life of a Showgirl. And that's not, honestly, I haven't even listened to all of it, because I can't. No. It's too difficult. So, I mean, the cringy lyrics,
oh my God,
that she attempts to take out of the Sabrina Carpenter playbook, but I feel massively fails at executing. Yes. It's so cringy to see her try to be so vulgar and sexual in like an empowering way. Again, like other female artists have done, she's not doing it successfully here.
No, it's not cheeky and cute and sassy. It's so freaking cringy. And that's her own fault, because she built her brand on being the sweet, innocent girl next door. And we don't look at Taylor as being this hypersexual person.
And again, when she did give us a glimpse of that, she did it well. Again, Dress. And I know there's a few other songs like that. Scratches Down Your Back. You can do it and do it right. And she did it before. So I don't understand where this weird, really like high school, like, he dickmatized me. He can spread my thighs. And oh my God, his redwood's so big.
You know what it is? It's the fact that Sabrina Carpenter got so astronomically popular. Granted, she's been doing music for forever. So this is not an overnight success story.
No.
But she got super popular doing that. And Taylor Swift, for whatever reason, can never just let a bitch be successful. She does
Has
it with
to stay
everybody.
on top.
Yeah, if she's not number one, she's either tearing you down or ripping you off. One of the two.
Then one of the huge discourse online
Mhm.
from her Swifties. Again, all this is not from Taylor Swift longtime haters. This is loyal Taylor Swift fans of decades.
Yeah.
They're the ones speaking out on this. The fate of Ophelia. The fact that she turned the story of a woman who had complete lack of autonomy that
Yeah.
leads to her death
Because of men.
because of men.
Mhm.
I mean, it's Paris Paloma coded, Ophelia's story.
Oh, for sure.
But then she turns it around and turns it into, if the right man came along and just wanted to find love from a good man, like, she would have
can
been
save
saved.
you,
She would have
yeah.
been fine. Like, okay, choosing to want the trad, like, wife life and all that, because that's another argument people have been making.
Yeah.
You can choose that. There's
Yeah.
a difference between choosing that traditional value marriage life
Mhm.
and picket fence versus saying that she needed a man to save her all along. And if she had a man save her, then she would have been fine and never have died. There's a difference between I needed a man to save me and what Ophelia went through. Her existence was oppressed by man, and no good man would have changed that. Like, that's not the
You're
reality.
missing the point. You're missing.
And this is an English major right here.
And everybody is like, did she ever read Hamlet? Like, again, this whole album really puts into question to me of like, and I don't want to question her whole discography and be like, is she the main writer on these songs? Because holy shit, this is bad. Like, this is bad. This is, and she's in her late 30s.
She's not a kid anymore. She's a grown-ass woman reaching middle age.
This is embarrassing to be still talking about high school proms and crushes and blah, 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 blah. And at this big age. No, it's just, anyway, continue.
And so a lot of people have been just flabbergasted because, like you said, it's very much giving high school Mean Girl. And the fact that she is promoting kissing the guy even if he has a girlfriend, do it anyway or you'll regret it. Like, putting that message out, sticking by your canceled friends who are loyal to you even if they're problematic, diss tracks against other artists, which, again, all artists do, but the fact that, like...
But punching down. You
down...
are one of the most popular friggin' artists in the entire world, and you're punching down at other artists.
And then you're writing lyrics about this artist going, I mind my business, God's my witness that I don't provoke it. It's kind of making me wet.
Which also is bullshit, because girl, it's, and that's I think people finally woke up to the fact that she has played the victim card so hard, it's broken in half. Her victim card broken in half, because at this point, with you being a billionaire, with you being one of the biggest pop artists in the world, having the highest grossing concert in the entire
history, like...
And you're still going over here like, oh, my life is not that glamorous, even though right before that, you're talking about staying in expensive places, jet setting around the world, drinking expensive drinks, all of this shit, and then having the audacity to say that your life is not glamorous. But also playing the victim in this diss track saying, oh, you know what? I'm just responding back. This is what she said about me. A private moment. The speculation is that the song is about Charlie XCX.
Yes.
Let's say she did say that about you. She didn't say it publicly. And here you are bringing it into the public forum, knowing how vicious your fans are.
Yeah.
Not to mention talking about Travis Kelce's ex, a black woman, who we can clearly see throughout this entire album how insecure black women make you feel. Because what the fuck do you mean I don't have a big ass? Or what the fuck do you mean I'm not savage? I'm not... Oh, yeah, like... And we all know that is vernacular that is used typically in hip hop. Megan Thee Stallion has a whole song about being savage. We're not stupid. Again, this is the whole, like, she's such a lyrical genius and there's double entendres in her lyrics, but then they want to be like, oh, no, that's not what she was talking about. That's not.
This is all like, you're taking it too seriously. She was.
Yeah. Opal and Onyx. What? That's not a reference between her and his past girlfriends who all just happen to be black. Not to mention, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, that a lot of her exes have either married or dating Black women. Harry Styles, Calvin Harris, Tom Hiddleston.
That's ironic.
Just saying.
So let's bring it back. There is this one content creator on TikTok named Your Gay Uncle John. I loved I loved what they had to say, because funny enough, we're not going to talk about this, but they were even talking about how astrology predicted a lot of what was going to happen to her.
I like how you said
I know, astrology. I heard it after and I was like, we're going to stick with it.
We're leaving it
in. So let's remind ourselves to show you, okay, we recognize the art versus the artist. He said very brilliantly, and I can't say it better myself, but he expressed exactly what I feel also, is that she has an amazing acumen for the fundamentals of pop music. She's a great producer, because she is. She's a great pop vocalist. She knows, like you said, her genre and where her vocals lie comfortably. Mm-hmm. And once she found that little cushion place for her vocals, she worked on it and she built it and she's made a career of it. Right. She understands the basic grammar of creating a bigger arena spectacle. She is a performer and she's a creative and theater kid. She knows what she's doing in that aspect and has fun with it. And she is a wonderful writer, maybe, because now I'm curious as well who the hell wrote all these lyrics. But her command of wordplay and rhyme and meter and rhythm is really impressive. This is from someone who actually has been a Taylor Swift hater before, and they can recognize this. And so why so many Swifties are claiming to be ex-Swifties now, though, is that their confusion is what compelled her to us for so many years was that she created a narrative that created connection between her and the listener, where we felt she understood us and we understood her, and it felt very connective and cathartic, and we felt seen and heard in a way that maybe we didn't get from other artists who were maybe more artistic in their lyrics. So, it was more obscure and poetic.
Yeah, exactly.
She simplified that art of storytelling through song in a way that really captivated everyone easily, because it wasn't, overcomplicated and flowery prose and etc. Yeah. So this is what made her unique to so many of us throughout her career. Fast forward now to Life of a Showgirl, and the entire narrative is not relatable, because the entire album is about, and this also was coming out of Your Gay Uncle John's TikTok, it was about being rich, famous, and in a power couple, or grievances about being rich, famous, or in a power couple, which none of us could relate to suddenly.
No.
And then the fact that she even had the audacity to compare herself to Elizabeth Taylor when most of her fans don't have jobs and the country is falling down around us. Like, that was a choice. Knowing the state of the country she lives in, because as much as everyone keeps screaming, talk about Palestine, say something about Palestine, I never expected Taylor Swift to talk about Palestine. That was something that people really made like the top thing against her. And I was like, this isn't home for her. That is not going to be her number one concern, though it should bother all of us.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect her to speak on Palestine. But now the shit is on the home front and you're not speaking. This affects personally where you live. So it's easy to detach yourself to the political violence and genocide and issues and hunger and world events that are outside of your country. It's easy to have blinders to that. Let's be real, guys. But now there's no excuse. This is here happening at home. But
it still doesn't affect her.
It doesn't. But you would think at least there's no way of escaping what's happening. Again, world events, easy to maybe not hear about them. There's no way you don't know what's happening in your own country, even if it's not affecting you. It's loud enough. Whether you give a shit enough to know all of it, you know something's happening.
Oh, for sure. But the way that she insulates and other celebrities, because it's not just her, the way that they're insulating themselves and carrying on with these posh $1 million parties and acting like, you know, when people have lost their food stamps and food assistance and their healthcare prices are going up, it's like we're living in two completely different worlds. 100%. And so I'm not entirely shocked. I was actually shocked in her Miss Americana age when she actually did speak up.
Well, that changed her for me. I suddenly looked at her in a new light. I respected her more. I was like, oh my God, I'm so proud of her. She stood against like what the industry was pushing for her. And she decided, I'm going to speak up for women. I'm going to speak up against the patriarchy. I'm going to speak up against misogyny and racism and homophobia. Like, where did that girl go? That's where suddenly, before Life of a Showgirl, the first 8 months of this year, I was going, what happened? Where did that girl go?
I don't know. I question whether she ever existed, because you see old pictures of her at Katy Perry's birthday party posing with a guy that has a swastika on his shirt. And everybody wants to give her excuses for that as well. And I'm just kind of like, you know, she's never called out any of the white supremacist groups that push her as their like idol. She's only ever come against somebody who was writing about that. She has never said anything about the MAGA influencers that she has posed with. She's BFFs with Brittany Mahomes, like you said. And now she has this trad wife narrative. It is very telling when Fox News is excited about your album, because it trumpets their lifestyle and the conservative family values that they want to see more of in the world. And hasn't said anything about that. Hasn't said anything about ICE using her song. It is very telling. Not to mention she had that necklace in her merchandise that everybody was saying was a Yahtzee dog whistle, and the fact that it had like the SS lightning bolt and that there was a specific number of them that correlated with HH, which a lot of people know what that is. I'm not going to say it on here. And then it got taken down, and nobody knows if it was because it was sold out or because of the backlash. It just, again, never spoken about. Nope. Never addressed. And like you said earlier in the episode, she said on a podcast that if something is important to her, she'll talk about that. You know who else said that recently? Sydney Sweeney in her GQ interview, when they specifically asked her to address some of the white supremacist ideology and genetic superiority that was being promoted in her American Eagle ad. And she was just like, when I have something to say, you'll hear it. It's the same thing. And these two women are saying the same thing.
They are. They absolutely are. And it's frustrating to see the cult-minded narrative of her loyal fans and how loud and ugly they're getting. Because here's the other thing. Then you have those who claim that they're not that group of cult fans, but they are arguing, well, let us have our fun, especially because the country's falling apart. Like, it's not her job to speak on politics. Her life is always in danger. She can't risk her safety. And why aren't you holding other musical artists in the same light? Well, one, Jan, we are. Two, Susan, like it or not, being the most influential musical artist in the world requires you to carry a certain responsibility. One, if you're a decent human being who gives a shit about the world, because having that amount of influence and money can change the world. And sure, you don't have to, but do you seriously not want to? If you cared? Like, are you not moved by violent and gross injustice in your own country, at least to do or say anything? Like, it really then says a lot about how privileged and convenient it is for you to not be directly affected by any of it. And how nice for you is that?
And then as far as the safety things, that argument to me is bullshit. And I'll tell you why. Not because she doesn't receive threats to her safety or have stalkers. We've all known in the past that a lot of these celebrities do. But she has the means that other people don't have to protect herself. She has security. She has private properties with security. She's living in gated communities. She's not out here just exposed like most people are. And I get it, especially after Charlie Kirk. People are like, well, even having security, that's a whole other story for another day. But I will say this. She has a place of privilege to not only have a platform to speak on, that she knows people will listen to her. because they listened to her the first time when she backed a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
But she also has the means to protect herself and remove herself from situations of danger that the average person cannot. And if the average person can be vocal and speak out on these issues when they're just like, I don't know, at home with their little Simply Safe alarm system, then there's no excuses for her. Not to mention that there are plenty of other celebrities who are speaking out about Palestine, about ICE, about the state of this country, about Trump. And yes, I hold everybody accountable.
Yes.
It's not just her.
No.
But it's like the reason why we're talking about her specifically right now is because it's not just her lack of political transparency. It's the fact that her music is very white nationalist, conservative, trad wife coded. You know, even talking about popping out babies left and right, wanting a whole block that looks like, you know, Travis Kelce, who, why?
And then diminishing suddenly those who choose to be child free by making fun of them wanting their 3 dogs or cats instead. So now you're attacking, because this is also the argument. Everyone's like, well, she can choose to change her mind. Absolutely. But then in the same respect, don't put down those who have chosen the life that best suits them, which doesn't look like the traditional trad wife lifestyle.
No. Not to mention that by doing this, she's actually completely pulling back the whole I'm a feminist narrative, because you are exactly what toxic men with red pill podcasts say. Oh, if the right man comes along, she'll be changing her tune. And sure enough, she did exactly that. So, okay, nobody told you that you had to come out and be like, I'm against marriage. I don't want to be married. I just want to be successful in my career. Nobody was saying that you had to say that. If you said that at any point, that was of your own choosing. And yes, you can change your mind.
Yeah.
But it's the way in which you have chosen to present this new truth of like, I lied. I never really felt that way. I'm like, that's not you saying that you changed your mind. That's you saying that you tried to conform to being a feminist idol, and it didn't feel
line
right.
Your pockets, because it lined your pockets.
And now I get to be the wifey because that's been this whole bitch's identity. I'm sorry.
No, but that's the thing. Taylor Swift wanting to fall in love, get married, and have children was always what she wanted. This is not a surprise.
Shocked?
If anything, her Midnight's that 1950s shit they want from me was actually surprising to hear. Because I was like, actually, that's all you've ever wanted. You're like the biggest romantic. We expect you to want to finally fall in love, marry, children. We expected the picket fence out of Taylor Swift from Mine and all the Fearless and our song. We've been waiting for this moment for her, almost. So it's not even surprising. But again, she changed the narrative herself, trying to put forth something different and claiming that she doesn't want that anymore. And then again, saying,
no, not even that she doesn't want it anymore. She said she lied.
Yeah.
The lyric was like, when I said I didn't wanted to get married, that was a lie. I just needed my big, strong football man to come and digmatize me. And then everything's good. And that's, you know, what's really annoying about all this is that she has basically touted herself as being this super artsy, poetic English teacher, collegiate academic, and she ends up with the biggest tool, football jock, which again should not be surprising because she is the nerdy girl, or nerdy because she's never been that, who had a crush on the captain of the football team. You belong with me. Hello. It is. So,
but then 15, she was like, you'll do more with your life than marry the captain of the football team. So you had hoped she knew she would know there was more to life. But ironically,
you hoped that she was going to grow out of that. Because we all had that moment. We all had that moment, whether it was the jock or the bad boy or whatever. We all had that moment of immaturity where we're like, we don't actually know what we want or should have in a relationship. And the thing that's really telling to me, and this is kind of my point with the Travis Kelce thing, is like, so that's That's all you have to say about this man? This is all he has to add to your life is a
This
big
is
dick?
this is the most poetic you can give us about
Well,
this
I mean,
great love.
yeah, that it's good sex. That's, I mean, really, it was there anything else that said anything otherwise, that it's great sex and now you want to be a housewife because of it? That's it. That's it. I mean, she wrote a better song about a guy that she met at a party that enchanted her with the way that he spoke. She met this guy for all of 2 seconds. And she wrote a better song about him.
Best songs.
Than she wrote about this man that she's about to marry. Oh, yeah. The divorce album.
That's what everyone keeps saying. So here's the thing. At the end, guys, all we're saying, for me personally, I'm just going, whether she'll ever admit that she's Republican or not, at the end, she has sympathized with their stance on hate, bigotry, racism, Christian nationalism that has been terrorizing Americans. And all I have seen is her silence.
Yep.
And funny enough, quoting her, I've never heard silence quite this loud. So, in conclusion, we are, as people, picking our battles, like I said earlier, and choosing where we want to put our money. In celebrities, companies, we've all been doing that. This isn't new. This has been ongoing because we've realized that where we put our money has been speaking louder than anything else right now. And she is a brand at the end of the day. And she is also a stranger who doesn't know I exist and I don't know her. Right. None of us who think we know her personally at all. We know whatever she has fed us and presented to us throughout the years. I no longer choose to continue putting money into that brand. And again, it's not because she's a woman. It's not because it's cool to hate on Taylor Swift. It's not because I'm a Taylor Swift hater because I was a fan for so long. Yeah. It's because clearly she has shown us which side she chooses to stand on right now in history. And I just am making that cut and dry decision for myself of those who, even if there's a little apathy, that's enough for me to go, nope. And that's just a personal decision.
Yeah. And I will say for myself, I don't really like the narrative that she's spewing. I don't like her complacency and apathy when it comes to speaking out against certain things. I don't like the way that she attacks those that are in a lesser place of privilege than herself. She's very Sue happy. I don't like the victim mentality. At the end of the day, what I realized is that we have grown up and matured. She has not. Yeah. She is perpetually living in this high school fantasy, even more so now that she's marrying a football player. I mean, her engagement announcement said that the English teacher is marrying the gym coach. So she is very much playing up that fantasy. Yeah. I don't like this new, like, I'm going to show off all of my wealth now all of a sudden. Like, now I'm a materialistic person when she never appeared that way. But now she's being vocal about it. So I'm going to listen to the things that she is saying. She's telling on herself on this album, essentially. Yep. And I'm here to listen. Yes, I know that there have been times when she has been generous. But when you think about the amount of money that this woman has, it is a drop in the bucket. Like, it seems, I don't think like a lot to us.
You guys are not truly capturing, because it's hard, legit hard to understand what $1 billion
more than that. Yes. It's, and again, when you have $100 and you give somebody $10, that seems like a lot, right? But you still have $90 left over. This is what I'm talking about. In comparison to her wealth, what she has given is a drop in the bucket to her. She can make that up in one show, but she knows that it is something that is going to make her look good. At the end of the day, everybody's like, well, she doesn't publicize it. She doesn't need to, because she knows that she has obsessed fans who will find out every little thing that she does and publicize it for her.
I mean, they just did. Apparently she gave to some cancer patient literally this week. And
I'm sure she did.
Yeah, and so how quickly that's like, oh, well, see, Look, guys.
The same way she gave to the victims that were involved in the shooting after the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl to cover up the bad behavior of her now fiance, who thought it was a good idea to show up to that parade completely fucking wasted, and then proceeded to be smiling in pictures after the parade at brunch when people had literally fucking died. People who had gone there to see them and to celebrate this win with them and had lost their lives in the process. And that's what she does. She puts a Band-Aid on things. When Matt Healy made a racist comment against Ice Spice, she put Ice Spice in one of her songs and put her in the video. She doesn't come out and say this behavior is wrong. She puts a fucking Band-Aid on it because she knows that all of these Swifties who don't really care about equality, who don't really care about tearing down systems of oppression, they're gonna defend her. So in a way, I'll be perfectly honest, I'm glad this is happening because it separates the people who are really fucking serious about making a difference in this world from the people who don't really give a shit and they're just performative. So go ahead, defend your queen. Now we know who you are.
And that's been the theme this entire year. Finally seeing where people stand and who they truly are. I know. So here,
hot under the surface.
This call to action is going to be a little different. So I would like to, and I would believe Heather as well, we would like to encourage you guys to think about something. If at any point this episode has triggered you, and in the way it has triggered you is to want to suddenly fiercely come to Taylor Swift's defense, perhaps we need to take a moment, step back, and ask ourselves, why do we feel the need to defend a total stranger who has no knowledge that any of us exist? It is okay to love the art of an artist that they put out and still be critical of who they are, what they do, and the choices they make and stand by. Also, our choice to no longer listen to and put money into Taylor Swift doesn't affect anyone else but us. It
Not
doesn't
even Taylor
affect
Swift.
you because it is a minuscule, like she said, drop in the bucket that Taylor will never feel. She's so filthy rich. Our lack of support, she's never going to feel that. We're not making such a huge statement that she's going to learn her lesson. We know that's not the case. So why combat us about our decision and so many decisions of other ex-Swifties? How does it affect you if they choose to no longer support her? How about instead, the true call to action is, let us use that energy towards the matters that are ripping our rights as women and people away. Let's use that energy to make our voices heard against racism, oppression, bigotry, hatred, political violence, fascism, genocide. The list goes on. And these are not just up in the air, issues. These are current event issues that are all happening at once, right now. That is what our energy really needs to be put towards. And so that is what I would like to encourage you to think about before you run to the comments to try to rip us a new one. Because again, it doesn't affect you what we choose to do with our support and money.
No. And can I add one thing?
Absolutely.
I would seriously put into question what you think that you have in common with this billionaire that you need to defend her so harshly. Why you think that you relate to her in everything that she does. Aside from the fact that you are both women and perhaps both white, maybe not. I know that there are Swiftie fans that are people of color as well. What else do you really have in common? And do you think that this person shows any care towards you when she is choosing to remain silent on literally everything that affects us? And it doesn't just affect immigrant groups. It affects everybody. It affects women. It affects people who are living close to or below or at the poverty line. And as far as healthcare goes, it affects all of us. So I encourage you to think about that for a second. Why you are clinging so hard to this woman when in the midst of us trying to boycott us trying to gain our rights back, she chooses to release an album with Target, which I know she always has, but she can choose otherwise.
Yep.
And release a bajillion variants to a community, to a nation of people who are struggling financially when she doesn't fucking need that money.
And go to the movie theaters and spend a bunch of money so that you could also see the movie version of my album that just came out.
Yeah, her trash album. So anyways, oh God, we could probably continue, but this would be like a 2-hour video if we did. There was so much within this album alone, not to mention all the other things that she has done or not done that have raised some serious red flags. It's sad too, because I can now not really listen to her old music in the same way anymore. And Red was my favorite album.
Oh.
And I'm really sad. I have those albums on vinyl, and I'm like, they're just sitting there because I already bought them.
I had to remove them because here's the thing. I don't have money for streaming services. So what's in my phone is the only music I really get to hear. And she was like a good 70% of it was in my phone. And I had to eliminate that and go, well, I don't have a lot left. And it was my comfort music. It was. I learned guitar through her songs 10 years ago. Those are majority of the songs I know how to play are her songs on guitar. Like, she was such a staple in my upbringing, in my life. So it sucks that the person I thought was someone I could align myself with as an artist and support, suddenly it's not even slightly disappointing. They have utterly blown up the entire image I thought I knew, and I cannot stand by anymore.
It's nuclear. It's nuclear. There's a crater. It's non-existent anymore. It is gone.
It's radioactive. You can't get near it even. The fallout.
It's too black and white to ignore, and I feel like I get that people want to have joy in this hard time.
I do too.
But also, I feel like majority of people who are, and this is just my opinion. This is not Desiree's opinion. It's my opinion. So if you want to come at somebody for it, come at me. I feel like majority of people who are saying like, just let us have joy are white women. And I'm like, you're just now getting a taste of what women of color have been dealing with for forever. You're just now getting a little bit of a taste of what people in the queer community have had to deal with as far as hatred, oppression, all of that stuff. Sit in it for a minute before you start jumping to, I just need some joy in these hard times. Just understand that there are people in the world who have lived this way their whole lives, who have dealt with this shit their whole lives. They didn't have the luxury of putting blinders on to racism or homophobia. They didn't have the luxury to ignore it because it was their very life that they were living. Just sit in it for just a second. You can have your joy. We're not saying that, but we're saying, can't you just find joy in something that doesn't promote everything that we should be standing against right now?
Yeah.
I mean, is it that big of a deal not to listen to this trash album? It's not even that good. Yeah. Like, it's not even good. It stole a bunch of music from other artists, like the Jackson 5, for example. The lyrics are cringy, and they will be dated in about, I don't know, a year. Talking about memes and all of these other things that are seriously dating this album. This is not going to be an album that 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you're going to put on because it's so nostalgic and it gives you the feels. So what is the big deal about just not supporting this one thing? And
this is going to seem left field, but I just feel, I don't know, my spidey senses are saying someone may try to come at me with this. I look the way I look, but I am a woman of color. By the way,
because we've made that pretty clear by now.
Yes, but I've been called out in the past over just looking at my picture, and and so the ignorance of not understanding that Hispanic women come in all shapes, colors, and sizes, and that doesn't make us any less women of color.
No. So, and also, I will say this as a positive: majority of women who are calling Taylor Swift out on the internet are white women.
Yeah.
There are a lot of women of color too because of the racism issue. But really, a lot of women of color didn't even really listen to Taylor Swift anyway.
And there's still some who are diehard defending her, who are women of color that I've also seen.
So it goes both ways.
Yes.
You know, when I say majority of, I mean majority, not all.
Yes.
So I will just say that a lot of the women that are calling out the BS are white women.
Yep.
So you can be white and still call out somebody of your community for doing something that you don't think is okay and you don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll wrap it up because
Welcome back to the podcast, friends. It's the first month back.
Oh, God. We have super enjoyed talking about this subject.
Yes.
We will continue to talk about these things because it's important.
Yeah.
And yes, while Taylor Swift is not that integral in the grand scheme of things, you know, she is somebody with a much larger platform than most people. I'm all about holding celebrities accountable in general, everyone accountable.
Same.
And I think that we need to seriously take a step back from celebrity and pop culture and assess how much of a part of our lives it is, not just emotionally, but financially as well. Because if these people are going to separate themselves as in classism, you know, because they're wealthy and they have the means and support and resources, we need to separate our dollars from them as well.
Yeah. Hear, hear. So friends, oh boy, things are different. As maybe many of you saw, we did make a decision to step away from TikTok and remove our account. So that is not where you will find us anymore, but you can still find us over on Instagram and on YouTube. You can comment, subscribe, like, even on the actual podcast platforms. A lot of them now allow you to also comment and react and do different things. So please feel free, go do all of the social media things, follow us, subscribe, comment. We're here. We're excited for this new season. Hope you guys loved the first episode. And yeah, get ready because we have a lot more planned. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.